Hey everyone, Once Bitten here at the Battle Report. So I finally found a Skaven opponent to play. This guy has played Warhammer Fantasy for a long time, but hasn't played it a whole lot recently, and plays a lot more 40k now. But he's picked up Skaven. He's got about 4 or 5 games under his belt, and is willing to play. So we rolled up the Watchtower scenario. Most people I play refuse to use the scenario. We just re-roll it, but this guy had no problem with it, and I have no problem with it. I think it presents a unique challenge. The thought of facing Skaven in a Watchtower scares me just a little bit because I know that he has units that are 50 strong, and if he puts them in there with a general nearby, it's going to be hard to get them out. By the same token, if I can get my guys in there, it'll be hard to get me out because my units are really big. So, oh, and this is my Wargore Battle Standard Bearer. I've been using him for a while, but he was not completely finished. In addition to finishing the painting, I also touched him up more. I put the Gorgon horns on the top of it, hung the skeleton there off of it, painted the little Beastman's skull there on the banner itself. So anyway, we're hoping he will perform better this game now that he's fully painted. So the deployment strategy my opponent chose I thought was really interesting. He basically has 3 big units, and he put one in each corner and one in the middle. And I'm not sure. I meant to ask him what he was thinking, not condescendingly, just asking him what his strategy was, because my thinking is if you're going to do that, that means I can gang up on the units that are closest to me. So anyway, on my left hand side, he's got the plague furnace over here, obviously the plague priest, 48 plague monks. Right behind the watchtower, he's got a unit of gutter runners, a warlock engineer next to him, 50 clan rats with a screaming bell, and then a wind mortar crew. And I don't understand the benefit of the screaming bell other than making the unit unbreakable, because I see the things it can do and it seems helpful. I'm not sure, to me it seems helpful for the points. And maybe that's just because of the army list that I'm bringing to the table. Maybe if I had my Bretonians, I would think differently about it. I'm not sure. So anyway, on the far right, he's got a small unit of Giselles, and then 50 clan rats with a warp fire thrower. So facing it on my far right, I basically just threw some chaff over here, a couple harpies and a couple chariots, and then wanted to throw everything I cared about on the left-hand side to gang up on his units over here. So I've got 2 big 50 or pretty close to 50 man unit of gore, and then 10 minotaurs on the left and some harpies on the left. Character-wise, in that middle unit, I got my general and my battle standard bearer, and you'll notice my list is different here. Basically, I took out my level 4 and used those points to buy a beast lord, and because I just feel like one, he provides some much needed leadership, and two, I like what he can do for the points. I mean, even with just those things I put on him, he just brings a lot to the table. He's survivable with a 4-up ward. He's got Crown of Command, so he can keep that unit from breaking. And if I can just keep my battle standard bearer alive, he'll keep that unit around until somebody they have to kill him to a man. And then my BSB, I really don't like that build, but I'm still afraid of facing an ethereal army and not having enough magic attacks. So that's why he's there with the build he has. I may rethink that. I don't know. So I replaced my level 4 with the Brave Shaman on the right. I built him somewhat defensively. Stone of Spite destroys other magic items, and Dispel Scroll, obviously. He got the Weiss's Wild Form and Transformation of Kadan. And then I have my Doom Bull that I have so much fun playing with, and that's the build that I always bring. He is just a big bunch of nastiness. So we roll for turns, and he wins. And I had to deploy first. So if I had a core unit, 20 men or less, I could have put him in the building, but all my units are too big, and so on anything but a 6, I would get to go first, and he rolled the 6 and got to go first. So whoever goes first is going to be able to get that watchtower. And yeah. So he chose with this unit on my far right just to hang back. He didn't want to bring them towards the action. I have no idea why not. I think that is like tying an arm behind his back, because get that huge unit into the fray, they can occupy the tower, they can come around my flank. I was very happy to see him hang back. Here he marched up as close as he could to the building. During shooting, he killed a couple harpies, which I am more than fine with. And we go to Beastman turn 1. So first off, my gore unit charges his gutter runners. I believe I needed a 9 or a 10. And so it's understandable that I didn't make it. But my thinking was if I could charge his gutter runners, man, I could probably beat him in combat. If I don't, it doesn't matter. Nobody's going into the building. If I do beat him, I can overrun, hit his Screaming Bell unit, and just tie each other up for several turns. And I would be very happy with that because I like my odds of beating him in points. And my only fear of losing is if he gets 50 clan rats into that building and I just can't shake him out of there. So I gave it a go. It didn't work. Over here, the only concern I had over here, I didn't want him wheeling around my gore unit and charging my minotaurs. And if you measure just from their corner to my minotaurs, it wouldn't be that far of a charge. So I put my harpies there, hoping that if he charges, I might stay with him and just make sure he can charge my gore unit, and then I'll charge in the flank with my minotaurs, or maybe I'll flee and he might fail his redirection test or something like that. So anyway, there's that. On my right side, I just move up as aggressively as I can. If he's shooting at these things over here, then that means he's not shooting at anything that's going to make a big difference in the game. So, and then during the magic phase, I turned my wizard into a mountain chimera because I could, because it's so awesome. And of course, we're not in combat, and he's not going to charge me. But what it does is it forces him to make a choice to give up a magic phase to get rid of that thing. I think he has to roll a 16 to get rid of it, so it's not the end of the world, but it does take a big chunk of dice. So we go to Skaven turn 2. You see he has another unit of 15 gutter runners that he rolled and they were able to deploy this turn, so they came in behind my lines. I'm really not worried about those guys shooting at me because my units are big enough that it just doesn't bother me. So anyway, his Plague Furnace charged my harpies, and I decided to flee. He redirected into my gore unit, and that is just fine with me. He's going to win combat. He's going to beat that unit up pretty badly, I think. But I don't think he'll kill my Beast Lord or my BSB, and I'm going to be Stubborn 9 rerollable, and should be able to get into the flank of him with my Minotaurs next time. There we go. Nice blurry picture for you. There are those guys. And the gutter runners in the building. So I want those gutter runners in the building. My fear is that he's going to pull them out of the building, and then I believe he said that the clan rats that are with the Screaming Bell, they can actually separate, and so the clan rats could enter the building and just leave the Screaming Bell where it is. And that's my fear. I don't worry about killing 15 gutter runners. I worry about having to kill 50 clan rats. So I'm kind of ignoring the gutter runners in the building. I don't really care that they're there right now. This is actually not after combat. This is after the magic phase. He got off the spell that everybody in this unit had to take a toughness test or suffer a wound. So I lost 1/3 of the unit, which is odds. I'm not going to complain about that. But I found it frustrating that both my Beast Lord and my BSB, who would pass a toughness test on anything except a 6, both of them rolled a 6. And then my general failed his 4 aboard. So those 2 wound markers to the left and right represent wounds on my 2 characters in the unit. During shooting, he puts 2 wounds on this chariot, and he's welcome to do so. And after combat, man, he really did tear through this unit. And he certainly would have broken me if I did not have the Crown of Command. But I did, and that is a very undercosted item. It's just, yeah, it makes units just tough to budge. Of course, he's unbreakable, so I don't feel too bad about it. So we go to Beastmen turn 2. The thing that really makes me mad is this time it took very, very little for my Gore unit with the Mount Chimera to charge his Screaming Bell unit. And they failed it again. I mean, I don't know what I needed. Probably a 4, and they failed it. And the problem is my chariot also charged in, but now the chariot's in there solo, so he's not going to last long. My harpies rallied, which was nice. If you look on the upper right, my harpies charge his Jezzails in the woods. And my Minotaurs come to the side. Now those are 10 Minotaurs with Frenzy. Not all of them are going to be able to attack because his unit isn't wide enough. But I've got my Doom Bull too. And my Doom Bull can just, they can just do a lot of damage. Plus impact hits, plus stomp. I think, whereas I lost combat last time, he's certainly going to lose it this time. And every time he loses it, I'm going to get extra frenzies on my Minotaurs. Plus, in the magic phase, um, well, in the magic phase, he dispels my. Did he? I think I dispelled my transformation Kadan, and then I cast Weiss's Wild Form on my Gore unit here. Or he dispelled it and then I cast it. I don't even remember, but yeah, that Mount Chimera is gone after the magic phase. So in this, I killed one of his, he killed one of mine. He passed his break test, and so we're stuck there in the woods. What I'm really hoping will happen here is that I'll win combat, and his clan rats will fail their panic test. And I don't know enough about Skaven leadership, but my feeling is he doesn't have a character here. So even though he has strength in numbers and it increases his leadership, it should still be pretty low. I really don't know, though, what it is. Yeah, there's that charge. So after combat, I think the first round of combat, my general put 1 wound on the Plague Furnace. The second round of combat, he put 3 wounds on it. And then my Minotaurs came in, and you can just see how few Plague Monks he has left. But they're unbreakable, so they're sticking around as of now. Weiss's Wild Form on my Gore unit certainly helped out. And over here, yeah, I killed one of his, he killed one of mine. My chariot got killed, and so he just reformed his unit. And we go to Skaven turn 3. So when this picture was taken, he hadn't moved his gutter runners yet at the bottom, but they end up charging the rear of my Gore unit. Yeah, there we go. Really, there's not a whole lot else movement he had. After combat, the Plague Furnace got killed. Every Plague Monk in the unit got killed. This is his Plague Priest, the only remaining survivor. And he had to flee away from the Minotaurs middle to middle, so it kind of put it at a weird angle, and he ran through my Gore unit and is over here where you see him. So you see my General's unit restrained and reformed, and my Minotaur's unit had to pursue D3, so they just stopped at the side of my General's unit. And so we're kind of all bunched up right there. What I really like to do is get 1 or 2 of my units in combat with his Screaming Bells so that I don't have to worry about 50 clan rats getting to the Watchtower. And any unit that's left, I'm very happy taking into the Watchtower to drive the gutter runners out. It might take me 2 or 3 rounds of combat, but any unit I have will clear them out pretty quickly, as long as he can't then step back in with the 50 clan rats. And that's why I'm glad he didn't move the 50 clan rats in the woods closer to the middle, because now I don't have to worry about them getting in the building. So those gutter runners in the back, those were brutal. They held up my unit, killed a bunch, and now I've got a unit that can't do anything. So we go to Beastmen turn 3. My General's unit tries charging his main unit there, and the Screaming Bell. Sorry about that. They tried charging the Screaming Bell and failed their damn charge. It's the 3rd failed charge this game. It's starting to tick me off. My Minotaurs just reformed because there was no charge they could make, and otherwise my Gore unit's tied up in battle. If you look at the upper right, my chariot charged in there at that combat. I'm pretty sure at the end, yeah, my Harpy died. My loner named Harpy. There you go. Yeah, so my Harpies held him up, and then when he finally died, my chariot charged in. And that's a blurry picture, but you can see what's going on there. My Harpies in the middle charged his Warlock Engineer. That's what they're doing there. And what I'm doing there, too, is if he does any wounds on me, when I charged in, I weighted it to the right. So my unit, I've got, I think, 3 of them, and so I think he kills a guy, and so I pull it from my left, so when he flees middle to middle, he'll run through the Minotaurs. I don't want him running straight back, because then my Harpies very well will be right in front of my Minotaurs and will keep me from charging on my turn. Yeah, there we go. It's a better picture of it. So during the magic phase, I went ahead and got the Mountain Chimera spell off again, because I just think it's awesome. And then, because he's still a character, he made way to the back. I didn't move my models out of the way because I felt it'd be too time consuming, and I really don't think we're going to be in combat at the end of this combat phase. And so I'll put him back in the front rank where he belongs. But this was a nice solution to that problem. How do I don't really want to turn around and have to deal with all these guys. So I'll just turn to Mount Chimera. He'll slap him around. And then again, it forces my opponent to make a decision of, is he going to dispel this thing or going to let me keep it? And yeah, he made very short work of them. They started at 15, so they're only rallying on double ones, so I did not pursue. I just restrained and then faced the building and everything else. And in Mount Chimera, my understanding is monsters can enter buildings. They just, when it comes to fighting, take the place of 5 guys. And that's a trade I'm willing to make. So if we charge the building, and if I still have that spell up, I'll just have him go to town on those gutter runners, and we will make very short work of them. Yeah, here's after combat. He killed one of my harpies, and so just the angle we were at put him this way running through my minotaurs, which was just great. And this was absolutely amazing. So the chariot charges a unit through the woods. You're risking failing that dangerous terrain test and taking d6 wounds. He passes the dangerous terrain with impact hits and everything else, absolutely destroys the Giselles. I don't remember if they fled off the board or if he destroyed them, and it doesn't really matter. But when they broke, that huge unit of clan rats failed their break test. If memory serves, I think he said he was tested on a 9. And I probably was. I just don't remember exactly. But whatever it was, there was no reroll nearby. He doesn't have a battle standard bearer in his entire army. So, yeah, that unit failed and just ran right off the table. This chariot just won man of the match right there. So Skaven turn 4. He's keeping his gut runners in the building and otherwise just backs up a little bit. He puts his I think that's the wind mortar weapon team out there in front of my minotaurs. And while his plague priest rallies, his gutter runners don't at the bottom. They keep on running. And during the magic phase, he uses a lot of dice to get rid of my transformation spell, so we're back down to normal there. And you might be wondering about the Screaming Bell. I know he's done it at least twice, and just really nothing happened. He almost destroyed the building because he rolled whatever it was where the building has to, the building might be destroyed, and that would have really hurt him. And anything it did just really didn't matter. He also has the dreaded 13th spell, and he just hasn't been able to get it to go. But I think you need like a 25 for it, and it's not easy to get, but he's throwing everything he can trying to get that spell. And what's happening is between those two things, he's really not getting other spells off very often. Whatever he did here did a lot of damage. That unit's a lot weaker. But again, I just don't care. That's the nice thing about the build I'm using is these units are so big, I don't need 50 to do what needs to be done. I think 27 here will work just fine. So overall it looks like that. And we go to Beastmen turn 4. So this one I actually kind of just made just a silly mistake. Both of my bottom units I charged to the building without even realizing that they can't fit. And so what I could have and should have done is charge my characters out, my BSB and my general at the building, and then my other unit could have fit, and then I could have, really gone to town with them, because during the magic phase, I can at least try to get the transformation spell off again. And if I get a Beast Lord, my Wargore, a Mountain Chimera in that building, those gutter runners don't have a chance. But I screwed it up, and I didn't want to go back and say, oh, hey, I didn't realize they wouldn't fit. Let me redo that. So I just charged it with my general's unit. Charged the Doom Bull and the Minotaurs into the Clan Rats. I really want to see just how this will go. My Doom Bull has the other Trickster shard, so the ward save he has on his Screaming Bell, he has to re-roll. So I really think the Doom Bull is going to make short work of the Screaming Bell. The Minotaurs are going to target regular puds in the unit, and I think I'm just going to tear that thing to shreds. And so after combat number 1, this is probably the 3 frenzy markers after this combat on my Minotaurs. And yeah, he's barely alive, but even one more round of combat, he's not going to have anything left there. My Beast Lord goes into the tower, kills a bunch of them, but they're stubborn on his general's leadership, and I'm thinking that's fine because he's about to be tabled. and then it's the end of turn 4. He rolls a die. He rolls a 6. Game ends. Skaven wins. Yeah, perfect, perfect. So, technically a win for the Skaven, but very, very happy with how the Beastmen performed. The Minotaurs were nice and fed. If you look on the left-hand side, there's 1 wound marker and 4 frenzy markers on the Minotaurs, and I didn't even bother reforming them, but I'd reform them to get even more guys in combat, and they're just going to tear through some stuff. Uh, I had so many failed charges this game that slowed it down that even if the game went to 5 turns, or much less 6, I'm very, very confident this game would have been mine very easily. But, it just happens that way, ending on turn 4. So, victory to the Skaven. Way to go, Rats. It was a fun game. Hope you enjoyed it.